And if you saw the propaganda against Iran, like I mean, for COVID, it's that they call you idiot or COVIDiot or or fascist or whatever. And for Iran, it's that if you have an opinion that doesn't fit in their narrative, you're immediately labeled as pro-regime and paid by the regime. Like there is
Yeah.
no way that you are an ordinary citizen with a different idea.
It's a different idea. Exactly. This is what I was going to say. If you stop here and you say, all right, this person is just a fascist only because they don't want to get the vaccine, or they have some idea about Bill Gates, whatever. Um, so, and they are nationalists because they have a flag for Trump or all this stuff, right? Leftists are purely behind the police. They don't say anything about what police is doing to them. They are, everything is justified. No one talks about it. There is no need to talk about anything. It's a full agreement between the state and leftist unions, whoever thinks they are progressive or leading a progressive movement, whatever. There is a full agreement between all these forces in the society, right? The same thing happened in China a couple of months before.
Yeah.
Um, but then what happened? What is China? A dictatorship, who doesn't have no respect for the freedom of choice, um, or even for Biden himself. Like when Trump was the president, they said they're not gonna get the vaccine. There
Right. Right.
are
There's a whole
interviews
video
of Joe
compilation of
Biden
that.
and
Yeah.
um,
Pelosi.
sorry,
Nancy Pelosi. Is that who you're talking?
Nancy Pelosi. Yes,
Yeah.
there is an interview for her. She's saying, "I'm not gonna trust this vaccine because Trump is doing it. No way."
Exactly.
She's
What
she's just laughing and
if you
stuff.
talk to liberals now, they don't even think Trump was involved in the vaccine. They're like, oh, how could
Right?
he be involved in the vaccine? He's an
Exactly.
anti-vaxxer, and he started the program. I mean,
Yeah.
The
yeah,
same thing with the flag, the US flag and Trump happened in Hong Kong uh, 2 years ago against China. Same people were seeing Trump and the US flag in the protest, but no one talks about the freedom. No one talks about this is what we need to do because they are right wing. They are raising US flag and they are having picture of Trump. So that's a very clear red flag for us not to support these people. But everyone talked about freedom of speech in Hong Kong. Everyone talked about dictatorship in China and how they're stopping that. I'm not saying what happened in China or what happened in the US or what happened in Australia was right or wrong. What I'm saying is that the same logic doesn't apply to the same thing. It changes.
Yeah.
It just
And
changes with the Western values. Wherever Western value is today, we stick with these principles. Tomorrow, it can be 100% different from today, and no one even is bothered to explain. Everything is clear. Everything is like honestly, everything is clear for everyone. The
there's
same
no.
thing I was.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just saying, there's no. Everything's conformity. Like there's no ability to think outside this narrow line, and if you do, you're like like a crazy right wing lunatic, which is anyway.
um,
Yeah.
okay, when I'm just
There was a sorry. There was a friend. She actually I know from someone else that was having some doubts about getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine. I know that's a fact, right? Someone talked to her and she was convinced to get the vaccine. right after she got the vaccine, she started talking about anti-vax idiot people. Like she was like,
Wow.
these idiots,
Wow.
they don't have no education, they don't have, and I
Wow.
knew, I knew
Wow.
about her, and it was so interesting for me and funny actually. Every time she was talking about them, I was like, in my head, I was like, maybe you shouldn't talk about them. Like you were,
Yeah.
like
Wow.
this is the system. You never educate people about community. You never talked about health as a public matter. You always talk about individualism. You always talk about all this stuff in a very individualistic way. All right, today is the fruit of the system that you actually had for years and years of freedom and liberalism and Western values, that everyone can choose whatever they want for their own body or for their own life. And this is the result. They don't want to get the vaccine because you educated them that they shouldn't care about anything else except themselves. They're using the same logic. All right, if it's about me, I don't want to get it. Why I'm a fascist right now? No,
But they
someone
didn't
please.
allow for it, right? I mean, I assume, and I would love to hear you talk about this, the unions that you were involved with, how did they feel about the anti-mandate protest, or how did they feel about vaccine mandates, which is a very individualistic value? You should support your workers' right to their own individual health care. But like, I assume that wasn't the case, right?
No, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. The like honestly, Western collectives or organizations and stuff, they are talking about all these values until there is no threat to the state. Like
Yeah.
you can talk
Yeah.
about whatever you want, but as long as there is no serious problem for the state, they fine. You can talk about whatever you want. But when it gets to the point that the police is very serious about what they are going to do with the protesters, they back off. They're like, all right, there is no value here, and we're not gonna talk about it, and we're not gonna even talk about. We're not gonna talk about. Like honestly, everyone knew that they're not going to talk about this topic anymore. And I remember one or two occasions when I actually playing and acting like I don't know that I shouldn't talk about this topic. I was bringing up some stuff, and they were like messaging me, didn't you know that you shouldn't talk about this? I was like, oh wow, why? Why not? They're like, because it's stupid. It's not important anymore. There are way more important stuff to talk about right now than this. And I was like, oh okay, I'm not Australian, so I don't actually know your culture. So
That's a
give me a
good one.
break, or do
Yeah.
some.
I think we should talk a little bit about the threats that are made to people who talk out about things, because
Yeah, Hana also got some threats, I guess, right? Or insulting messages.
Yeah, I did, but
so
it
that
was only that night when I talked in Twitter.
Well, we can talk about it because I think that's important that people know.
yeah, could you tell us about them? And like, were any of the people who threatened you people you knew personally, or who you were
No,
worried would know about you?
no. I didn't know them.
It's
And
that there was a Twitter space, and where people were talking about like, yeah, like we were talking about these protests. And then Hana spoke at that Twitter space. Can you tell us like what you talked about and why you got the attacks, the insulting messages or threats?
Yeah, the topic was asking if if the media is covering the reality, or is actually something else happening in Tehran. And I said, I don't think they actually can do it. Even if they want to do it, they cannot cover the reality, because the people who work in BBC Persian, they had to wear black when the Queen was dead. So when you are that committed to the queen. You cannot commit to the truth. Either
That's
this or
funny.
that. So it cannot be together, the queen and the truth about Iran.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
yeah, so we were
So you
talking. I
cannot
was
not angry, right?
sorry.
I mean, like, it's already clear why some people got angry and started.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do that argument.
Yeah.
But
So I told.
interesting. Oh, go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to, interestingly, that is the same area that was very sensitive for Setareh's commenting too. I mean, when she made a comment in that general vicinity about the falsehood of the media's portrayal of the protest, that's where all the people came out and started. So
Yeah, because that's the essence of this protest. They get really angry and agitated because that's the essence of what is happening in Iran. The media, the Western media. There is nothing else.
Solution, but
Yeah.
everything else is common.
It's like literally online war against Iran. So if you attack the online war, so you are supporting Iran or you are supporting Iranian government. That was the first. Sorry.
I said it's also like it's also like virtual reality versus reality. It's like yeah, we have this world that's dividing between people who spend all their time on social media and online versus people who spend their time in the streets. And I think that may be factoring into it as people don't like, even not even in regards to Iran, but in regards to everything, in regards to COVID. I mean, how many people did you in your own life like experience with COVID who were deathly ill? I mean, it's like the experience had to be filtered through the media to get to you so that you feel a certain way. Like you couldn't just have your own life and experience it. Like,
yeah, and also it can push you out. Like, all right, if this is the reality that is happening in Tehran streets, maybe I need to go out too because I can't stay home. They keep showing you that there is a revolution happening in the streets of Iran. So if you stay home, you are betraying your own people. So maybe you also need to go out, or you need to do something at least to help and to support the protesters.
That's exactly. Yes, go ahead.
No, you go, Setareh.
That's exactly what one of the students in Isfahan who took part in the protest at the university told me. She said that like we were having during our break from the classes, we were having a conversation with our friends and having ice cream and just talking and everything. And then one of our friends opened her Twitter and said, "Oh, something is happening at the other campus, so let's just go and be a part of that." Like literally, they didn't. I mean, it's to an extent, it's natural that you might not know immediately about what's happening a few meters away from you because you're not there. But that's how they got the idea that they want to. And as you said, like they thought something really big is happening and they want to be a part of it. But then they like this student that I talked to, she said that she went and wanted to be a part of the protest, but she didn't like the slogans that they started chanting because it was totally, deviated from the main goal of the protest, and it wasn't helping anyone. And they were even like mocking some people who were just passing by. So she said that a few of us tried to like just repeat the slogans that we agreed with, but it became impossible and we just left.
Whether you need to do something for the protesters, like you're feeling guilty, or whether you don't want to left behind, there is something very important and essential and critical is happening in the history of Iran, and you don't want to be out of it. You want to play a role in it. So when you attack this image, when you say no, whoever is creating it is funded by Ben Salman or the US or whatever, you are actually attacking the essence of what is happening in their eyes. That's why, unfortunately, Setareh was attacked by so many online threatening messages. In compared to what experience for Setareh, mine was very, very, very little. And I was really angry with what was happening with Setareh. It was really frightening. Like, in your own country, you're not somewhere else, and you're not even saying something that is you think that is going to be really agitating them. You're saying you are against, not you saying, this is your political stance, that you are against morality police, you are against mandatory hijab, you think that was unfair what happened to Massa, you think people have to have a right to protest. You say all this stuff and you believe in them, but still only because the number that you think people come out to the street is a bit different from what they have been told by the media. That's the only reason they can, they can do whatever they want, actually. Like, what they were messaging me was that you are working for the government, and we will find you. And this is kind of very common between all of them, that they say we will find you, as if it's very hard to find me. Like, I have my own picture. So many people know me. I don't have fake, like, account. Same
Like,
as Setareh. It's not very difficult for you guys to find us. Anyway, so
But
what Western people and activists and leftists do not see, they never wanted to see, and they won't see, is the reality, and is what exactly is happening from people who actually care about politics. They have been active, and they want to do something progressive for their own countries. They stick with the news, they stick with the mainstream media, and so many people now, they're talking about what happened with Syria and how it's similar to what is happening with Iran. How they try to show this image that it was a very progressive protest at the very beginning, which it was at some parts. It did happen, but at the same time, no one talks about the ISIS side of the whole
mhm.
thing, and how it got bigger and bigger and bigger in a very short period of time. um, People talk about communism, socialism, and this sort of stuff, when it's the image that they are trying to create, that to actually get everyone involved in the destruction for the country that they don't want to continue as what it is. Whether you know give up whatever you have and you listen to us, because we do not tolerate anyone out of this circle. So if you are out of this circle, whether your government is a dictatorship or um, the protesters are very progressive. There are different kind of ways to convince their own people that this country needs a change, and we are the ones who bring the change. Um, um, you know, by showing that the situation is really worsened off if we don't involve in the conflict. Or protesters are talking about women freedom, life, or communism or socialism, Kurdish resistance, all this kind of stuff that can convince everyone. But in the reality, Setareh is just saying thousands or hundreds or tens or whatever, and she receives threatening life messages from anyone, Doesn't matter if we know them or if we don't know them, but no one talks about this. This is the part that Western people need to hear.
But
And
I think also what you were saying is like, because of Setareh's and you, both of you are very dangerous to the narrative, because you both are or you're both anti guidance patrol, anti morality police. You're both critical of the government in terms of these policies. I mean, you don't wear a hijab, Setareh chooses to, but she doesn't believe that it should be forced on other people. So like, and that's a very like erudite, very like well thought out political position. And then you don't agree with what you're seeing, this imperialist hijacking of the protests. So you're actually the biggest danger. If you were a yes, sir, I believe everything the government says, like kind of like automaton, and you were like, I'm covering up because the government says so, they would be very comfortable with you, because you would be just the opposite of them. It's like another person who doesn't think, who's on the other side of the and you're like, yes, okay, that's my safe enemy. But the real difficult person is someone who's challenging them to think about what they're doing. And so Darren and I had I had this problem because I was trying to alert a peace activist group here that's supposed to care about women, which is called Code Pink, about Setareh's death threats. And in there, they had zero interest in her case, zero, because she was challenging this narrative that they were trying to promote, which is a very regime changey narrative, and it was difficult for them to process. And Stephen Zuna is this fake, I don't know, peace activist who he's a professor at some California university. All he could do is just say, well, like, the women of Iran are standing up for their rights and they're very like heroes or whatever. And he couldn't, and he did the same for Syria. Like, these academics, these organizations, they don't veer outside of the conformist narrative. They just promote the state, just like you're saying. It's like exactly what the state says. Even the activists who are supposed to be these like crazy, like people who are defending or defying the system and going against it, they are exactly in line with the system. They are 100% repeating the narrative, and it's really sad. I think it would be fun to hear, I mean, not fun, but enlightening for the audience to hear Setareh talk about her experience with these band of lunatics, and Twitter, actually, because Twitter is I don't know what you've experienced with it, Hana, but Twitter really is not what it appears to be. Can you tell us a little bit what happened with you, Setareh, in terms of like the threats and Twitter's response?
Yeah, so like after I had this interview with the Turkish channel TRT, and I said that the protests in Isfahan are much smaller than, for example, the ones that we witnessed in 2019, and much smaller than what's happening in Tehran, for example. Like, I got a lot of people like threatening me and calling me a regime agent and everything. And I got a lot of messages from people like, with fake accounts, but some even with like actual accounts with their pictures and their names, and like real people who said that they would find me, and they were asking people in my town to find me and stab me with a knife, and like chop me into pieces and everything. And then I had my friends and myself reporting the tweet, and the messages that I got, I mean, the accounts on Instagram who attacked me, but nothing happened to any of them, not on Instagram and not on Twitter. Like, even, and it's interesting because the person who, for example, the one really, I would say, dangerous message or mention that I got on Twitter, and it was like an open call for people in my town to murder me. A lot of people reported that, and that account didn't even have many followers, but it was never taken down at all. Nothing happened to that. And
it said, like, in quotes, it'd be better to, it was in replying to one of your tweets, and it said it would be better to kill these prostitutes than to kill the mullahs, calling you a prostitute and asking everyone to kill you, basically.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, and after those like lines, he was saying like people in Esfahan find her and like teach her a lesson or
That's
something
just
like.
a shame for the whole country.
It's a
Honestly.
Yeah.
shame for Twitter, because Twitter has policies against hate speech, and then people report it, and then Twitter doesn't do anything about it. And even more so, the original post was on the
Well,
UK.
in Instagram, if you post anything about Qasem Soleimani, they remove your account. So
Wow.
I
Or
was,
COVID.
this is really interesting. I was walking down in Esfahan, like walking downtown in Esfahan. I was trying to cross a bridge, and I was filming. No, sorry, I took a picture. Yeah, I wanted to take a picture of the bridge, and like next to the bridge, there was a banner with a picture of General Soleimani, right? Like I wasn't posting an actual picture. I was taking a picture of the bridge, and there was like a poster of him, and Twitter, Instagram removed that picture, saying it violated terms. But when I reported those comments and those messages and those accounts, and like the Twitter account as well, I got a reply from Twitter that this tweet does not violate our terms, and yeah, I mean, we're not going to remove it.
Instagram removed your entire account for just posting a whole list of COVID-related scientific articles. It was just a bibliography of scientific publications around the COVID situation, and they deleted your entire account with all of your followers with no warning. So that's,
you are a threat if you're not following the biggest totalitarian or dictators of the world. if you don't follow him, if you don't follow the god of the village, then
yeah, they want you to be submissive. They want you to be submissive to the system. But if you like choose to wear a scarf, they think that like you are being submissive to men, like in your country. Like, they don't see that.
Or to your own government. Even the people who actually politically choose to wear hijab. Well, what's the problem? Like, no one can be authoritarian than the US. Like, what is this exception coming from? Like, why that you can impose whatever rules on all the countries, global south or anywhere else, but if a country does this to their own citizens, not anyone else, then you are saying that these people are being submissive or whatever. But how about how about Australia? How about Canada? What is the position of these countries to the US? Puppets, right? Like, there is nothing else to explain these countries than puppets of the US. But, well, there's no problem with that. There's no problem with that.
and like all social media is a good example of that, because like it's almost all lies. And like the only the lies that go along with the whatever, the power dynamic, the dominant narrative in the world, are the ones that are completely tolerated. Like you can say you're going to go kill someone in Esfahan or whatever, you can call people to go kill someone in Esfahan, but you couldn't talk badly about the ridiculousness of the COVID narrative, or any of these things, which are
like it was a scientific paper, a link to a scientific paper that I shared, and I didn't even receive a warning. Like just after I had my account for I think 5 years, 6 years,
wow.
and yeah, and with more than 1,000 posts, and I never ever had received warnings or anything except for that picture that I said just Instagram removed it with a poster of certain General Soleimani. And then
you can go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I was just going to say, but you could constantly repeat over and over again. You can tweet over and over again with the same hashtag over and over and over and over and over again to generate the whatever 100 billion, whatever it is up to now. I mean, it's a nonsense number, this hashtag for the revolution. that hashtag is just fake generated with constant tweets, and their accounts that just constantly retweet to generate these numbers, and those accounts aren't deleted, and they're obviously just creating lies.
Yeah.
And similarly, like, I mean, another great example is there's this like scene out of a Turkish drama. Is it Turkish? Where this guy is like crying or dancing at his daughter's funeral because he said he would dance at her wedding or whatever. And I've seen this clip used in Palestinian propaganda because the Israelis published it as if a Palestinian was claiming this was real and from Gaza, and then the Israelis were able to like point at it and say, "Oh, look, the Palestinians lie." But now the same clip is being used here, and it's people are. Setareh, could you describe that one, because you have a more experience of a lot of it was in Persian? Could you describe that scenario, because it is so pathetic?
Yeah, that wasn't the only one, but that was very, I mean, it got a lot of attention because it was shared by, like someone, one account, I don't know with how many followers, but it was a big number, and posted that picture, that video, which is from either a Turkish or Azeri drama series, and saying that this was a Kurdish father, like the thing that Chris explained. And then J.K. Rowling, who has more than or about 14 million followers, retweeted that. And then it's interesting that the original account that posted it had, deactivated replies, so nobody could, tell him that this was fake. But a lot of people tried, and by quoting that tweet and mentioning that this was fake and this is not in Iran and this is from a drama series. But still, like, J.K. Rowling retweeted that, and it was never taken down. And that's just one example. There were a lot of, there were pictures of women, and then descriptions like, oh, this girl was killed and this girl did that, and the Iranian regime killed her. There were a lot of them, but I think like the one that was like most significant for me was this one, because celebrities like J.K. Rowling had shared it, and they never took it down. There was
unquestioningly, yeah,
and there was also one about the there was an account, like a verified also celebrity account. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name. But he said that one singer, like my colleagues, like as if he knows him in person. He claimed that this Iranian singer has been arrested in Iran, and he even tagged an account saying this is like his account. So I went to that account, and that account had about 29 or 30 followers, and the name was actually different. Only the ID, like the Twitter ID, was like copying then the name of the the actual singer. So I, again, under that, because the singer actually had a verified account on Instagram, and he probably heard about the rumors about him, and he posted that I have not been arrested and I'm here and I'm posting and everything. So I posted that in reply to that tweet and told them, but still, it's still there. Like, nobody's, of course, I don't have that many followers. Nobody's going to pay attention, but that's how easily, and it was retweeted thousands of times again.
Hannah, have you had any experience with do you have any interesting anecdotes of the fake social media stuff?
Well, I remember, so in Iran, so many doctors, they don't tend to actually pay the tax. And I tweeted something about reporting a doctor to the government after my visit. So it was very interesting because I don't have so many followers on Twitter, but that tweet got so many attentions, and 2,000 people actually liked it, and so many mentions to the tweet. And people were like, there was a doctor there who, I don't know if he was fake or not, but their reaction to that tweet was actually coming from so many fake accounts. It was very clear. Again, threatening me that I am a person of the government. That's why I reported a doctor. How could you do that? Like, obviously, we prefer rich people earn more money than the money goes to the government, because at the end of the day, they're not going to actually invest any money for the public. It's just for themselves. It's going to Gaza, it's going to Syria, it's going to Lebanon. So it's better for the rich people in Iran to actually not pay the tax. And that was very common logic for at least, I don't know, hundreds or something. People
Wow.
were messaging me saying that, yeah, you are working for the government, and that's why you tweeted this, and
Oh, that's
we
amazing.
will find you, and again, all this stuff.
So it's like the imperial, like it's blatant imperialist bots doing that, because it's like you are trying to stand up for the integrity of your own country and make sure that the government is funded the way it should be, and these bots are like promoting the idea that it's good to live in a like a oligarchy.
Oh, sorry, there was a trick someone did 2-3 days ago. I can find the tweet, but it was very interesting. They asked one of the players in the national volleyball team or something, that she said, I can't come to the um, um, there was maybe a game or something. I cannot come to the game because I feel sick. And then under the tweet, she had um, the tweets, sorry, the hashtags that it has been used, like hashtag Mahsa Amini or Operation Iran or another one. So she used all these hashtags with the tweet, and it was very interesting. She got thousands and thousands and thousands of likes, because they thought she is saying that she's not going to play in the national team because of Mahsa Amini. And even Manoto, which is funded by monarchist people, they retweeted this, and they quoted that the national team player of Iran, this woman, is not going to play in the solidarity with Mahsa Amini.
It was worse. She wasn't even a part of the team. She just wanted to test and mock them. Like, she was not even a volleyball player or anything. She just said that as the, I don't know, member of the national.
It was very funny.
Yes, I'm going to resign in solidarity with my people, and then use the hashtag, and the bots started retweeting her, so she got a lot of attention, and then this UK, US backed Persian channels started going headlines for her, and then she came up. They didn't even check that this skier is not a part of a team. Like, they didn't even bother.
It's like me saying, as the mayor of Atlanta, I'm resigning from my position to stand.
Oh yeah, exactly. After that, so many people were joking about this. They were like, as a chef in my kitchen, I'm not going to eat my food. Hashtag Mahsa Amini.
That's so great.
I love how Iranians play with that. Like, they're very smart in, there was also one thing, because I think some Arabic, I think, outlets lied about something, and or it was Israel that lied about something, and the Iranians decided to challenge them by, like, mocking them. So they started making a fake name, which literally in Persian translated into chicken and rice, and then they said that General, like, whatever, chicken and rice has been killed in some operation by Israel, I don't know, in Syria. And then some, like, famous verified accounts started reporting that, and they had to remove it later on. But they They didn't
Wasn't
even
it
bother.
like media in Israel? Didn't like Jerusalem Post or something write about it, or it was some official Israeli publication got duped by that, right?
It was an Arabic.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I don't remember. I think he was a reporter for Al Jazeera, if I'm not mistaken. But I have to check
That's
again.
a brilliant one. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like just, but that's even like just a legit. Oh, that's okay. That's even like a legit like people like using social media, but it's not even the like nefarious aspect of social media, which can be used, you know, having tons of fake bot accounts and yeah, but people can actually take advantage of it to make to expose.
I mean, even if it is not fake, even if it's like real accounts doing these hashtags, like what's the point? Like,
yeah,
what are we doing with these hashtags? Like, all right, millions of people
English,
tweeting.
right?
Exactly. Like, what are we aiming to achieve? Like, there was a trend of tweeting about for the stuff that we have lost in Iran. Like, for example, for the stuff that we have been discriminated against, or for the for the things that happen, and as a nation we are sad, and we are we are still mourning for them, as like the airplane 2 years ago, or other incidents. Sorry. But then with the hashtag of Massa, I think even if all of these hashtags excuse me, were legit, I don't understand how we can make a change in our own country. Like how we can, for example, convince the president to make a change, or the parliament to actually make a change in the law with these hashtags.
Yeah, that's true. Especially
yeah.
the.
Sorry, so Derry, you were like the connection cut you out, but you were, I think, saying that because it's in English, it's particularly problematic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because so far it has only led to more sanctions. Like, that's the only result that has come out of it. That when you tweet or use hashtags in English and calling for foreign, you're actually calling for foreign leaders and countries to just meddle in, and the only thing that they can do by meddling in is to call for more sanctions to be imposed on the country, which ironically just hurt ordinary people. It doesn't do anything to the government.
In terms of economic, but also like currently sanctions in terms of the the actual sanctions, but also the method to get out of the sanctions in the JCPOA, which I think is maybe one of the main targets of this, is to create a pretext to excuse the US from participating in the JCPOA, because they say, how could we participate with such a terrible quote unquote regime?
Yeah. They also, like, because of these hashtags and because of what's happening in Iran, they decided to impose sanctions on press TV, Iranian, English, like Canada imposed sanctions on press TV. And I really am thinking, like, how does it, I mean, what does that do? Like, when you impose sanctions against, a TV station, what does it actually do? How does it happen?
They deleted RT, the Russian television network, from YouTube, and they sanctioned it everywhere. And
because of freedom of speech.
Because they wanted to. I mean, not to justify it, but they're saying that this is Russian and we don't want it and we are against Russia, right? But this is a women's movement. Like, if you want to help women's movement, like, how does, I don't understand. Like, what's the logic behind imposing sanctions on press TV? How does it help?
Well, like Hana said, it supports freedom of speech.
Exactly. Yes.
Like, this is the speech of the Prime Minister of New Zealand like 2-3 days ago,
Oh
talking
yeah.
about the weapon of war for freedom of speech. Like, it doesn't make no sense. Like, you cannot find any kind of uh, logical relationship between what she's defending and what she's suggesting. um, there is like it for years and years they were saying sport is not a political thing to for people, but all of a sudden they can choose to remove Russia from the World Cup, but they were using the same thing to actually saying that Iranian players are not playing with Israeli teams, and this is a political decision, and they cannot. I'm not saying I don't actually agree with this kind of decisions. I think if Iranians don't want to play with Israeli players, they need to make the decision, and they need to have the agency to make the decision, and that will be my pride. Like, I will be very happy and actually proud of my country that people can actually sacrifice their professional sport life for Palestinian resistance. This way is actually very, I don't know, a bit of funny.
Yeah.
But they were saying it's not sport is not political. Everything for us is about freedom of speech. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, it's getting
about
pretty
freedom
late.
of speech. It's about liberalism. It's about how people can choose whatever they want for their lives. But when it comes to Western countries, they actually can impose whatever they want without actually trying to at least pretend that it's aligned with the liberal democracy and with the Western values.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And they'll lie and twist the narrative and abuse the people who they claim are victims. They'll do whatever it takes to maintain that trajectory. And yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up here.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something before we
Yeah.
finish that. Like, I personally don't think that, I mean, I think that's the right decision that the Islamic Republic doesn't allow its, sport or its athletes to, I mean, doesn't allow, like, we're talking about a law. Yes, a law doesn't either lets people or doesn't allow people to do something. But I'm supportive of this policy because the Islamic Republic does not acknowledge the Israeli regime as a country, and that's meant to send a message. I like for this one, I don't think it's a personal choice because it would be contradictory to the overall policy of the country. It's like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
so it's a little bit different. That's why I'm
Mm.
saying, I mean, while I understand that some Muslim countries, especially, well, I couldn't say like Muslim countries, like Lebanon, for example, doesn't have that policy, but there are players who don't play it because they don't play against like the Israeli regime representatives. But at the same time, yeah, it's very important that like European countries made the exact same decision while they were always saying that why is Iran politicizing sports, and sports have to stay out of politics and everything. But the difference is that we're just sending a message by not acknowledging a regime as a country because it's not a country. Well, we all know that it's not a country, so we're not playing against the just fabricated regime. But it's but for European countries, it's that they just don't. I mean, they have a conflict with Russia, and now they don't let their athletes to play against Russia, which is like an actual country and everyone acknowledges Russia, but it's just that they don't agree with the policies or they have conflict over Ukraine or the energy issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't forget that the Iranian players wear they wear black jackets over the Iranian government seal to protest there. Did you see that baloney propaganda, Hannah? Where they were saying that,
Yeah.
was it tennis? They were saying that, oh, it
Soccer.
was like soccer, okay. But it was like really cold, and the way they explained Iranians putting on jackets in the cold weather was that it's not because of the weather, it's because they wanted to cover up their jerseys that had the symbol of Iran, and so obviously they're doing it in solidarity with these protests. So,
And the
you
same,
know,
like a flag of Iran on the jersey, and it's interesting. Like at the same time when they were wearing the jackets, there were, like that's how they do it. There were people holding the Iranian flag in front of the national team. That's what they do for both teams.
I didn't see that part. Oh my god!
But in the background, there were these people, and because it was very cold, they were wearing a black jacket. And yes, maybe you could say that they are wearing black in solidarity with Mahsa Amini's death, but saying that they are hiding because they weren't even playing with those jackets. It was just that, like, when they were getting ready and they were singing the national anthem, they were even singing the national anthem. So
you could say that about black, but black also has a different cultural meaning in Iran than it does in other countries. Like colors have different meanings, so like it would be even like, I don't know. I mean, black women dress in black in Iran, but it's not because they're all mourning someone's death. Like black is like,
we do wear black for mourning too.
Okay.
So it could be a sign of, and I think they actually wear, probably thinking about it, like they deliberately wore black because I don't think they had just. But I mean, it could be or not.
So that would be the story then, but it's not because they're anti-government. It's because it's cold. That's the lie there. But it's an interesting world. You mentioned Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand, and I think people should know that she became a multimillionaire over the last 3 years. So you have to wonder how that happened. Like a like something like $8 million or something like that over the last 3 years from almost nothing. So like, I mean, in terms of richness, so her COVID policies may have had something to do with that. But yeah, we're dealing with a world of very corrupt forces, but that's why it's good to have conversations like this. And I really hope we get to do this again, because Hannah, it is super late there for y'all now. It's like, I don't know, what time is it there? Jeez. Okay, yeah. So thanks for staying up late with us, and I hope we get to do it again. Maybe we can revisit have a conversation about something else, maybe a happier subject in the future. Because like I said, it's really difficult to find a genuine leftist these days, especially in places that are so politicized like Iran from the outside world. I mean, it's real refreshing to meet you, and I hope we can have a chance to connect in the future.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time, Hana, and thanks everyone for watching and listening to another episode of Twice Told Tales. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.